The landing of Vasco da Gama, at Calicut, in 1498, is generally regarded as the beginning of a new era in world history, especially in the relationship between Asia and Europe. On the 20th of May 1498, after thousands of lives and dozens of ships had been lost in various attempts to find the sea route to India, Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese adventurer, landed at Calicut. In the year 1497, King Manuel of Portugal appointed Vasco da Gama to command a voyage with any ship he desired, and discover the sea route to India. The Portuguese nobleman, Vasco da Gama, sailed from Lisbon, in 1497, on a mission to reach India, and open a sea route from Europe to the east. The crew was a motley group, that included carpenters, blacksmiths, rope makers, and other such skilled workers. Storms ripped through, the sailors were distraught, and wanted to turn back, but Vasco da Gama was determined to go on. Some of the men even conspired to kill him, but were unsuccessful. The fleet was finally able to round the Cape of Good Hope, at Africa's southern tip in late November, and headed north along Africa's eastern coast, making stops at what is now Mozambique, Mombasa, and Malindi. With the help of a local navigator, da Gama was able to cross the Indian Ocean, and reach the coast of India at Calicut. The arrival of 3 ships, under Vasco da Gama, led by a Gujarati pilot named Abdul Majid, at Calicut, profoundly affected the course of Indian history. The navigator was received with traditional hospitality by Hindu king Manavikrama, famed across the trading world as the Zamarin of Calicut. Though the local Hindu population of Calicut initially welcomed the arrival of the Portuguese sailors, tensions quickly flared, after da Gama offered their ruler a collection of relatively cheap goods, as an arrival gift. This conflict, along with hostility from Muslim traders, led da Gama to leave without concluding a treaty, and return to Portugal. Vasco da Gama stayed in India for 3 months. When he returned to Portugal, he carried back with him a rich cargo, and sold the merchandise in the European market at huge profit. A much larger fleet, commanded by Pedro Alvarez Cabral, was dispatched to capitalize on da Gama's discoveries, and secure a trading post at Calicut. There was an incident of conflict, when the Portuguese factory at Calicut was attacked by the locals, resulting in the death of several Portuguese. In retaliation, Cabral seized a number of Arab merchant ships, anchored in the harbor, and killed hundreds of their crew, and burned their ships. Vasco da Gama went out on his second voyage on February 12, 1502. Because of his first expedition, he was now prepared for an encounter with the Muslim traders. He had a fleet of 20 warships. He hoped to enforce Portugal's interests in the east, and wanted to get revenge on the Muslims for the opposition in 1498, and killed many Indians and Muslims. The second voyage was more of a military expedition, where he captured Arab ships, and tried to show the might of the Portuguese navy. Vasco da Gama's third voyage, in 1524, was his last. By that time, Portugal had forts and settlement in India. The king sent da Gama to oversee them. Da Gama was no longer a young man, though, and he died soon after arriving. His expeditions helped Portugal become a powerful nation. His journey ushered in an era of European domination, though sea power, and commerce, that lasted several hundred years, and 450 years of Portuguese colonialism in India and Africa, that brought wealth and power to the Portuguese.